Acts 18 narrates the journeyings of Paulo. After these things, having parted out of the Aterni, he came into Corinth, and he found a certain Yehudi named Aquila, a Pontico by race, lately come from Italia, with his woman Priscilla, because Claudio had commanded all the Yehudim to depart from Roma, and he came to them. And because he was of the same trade, he abode with them, and he was working, for by their trade they were tent makers. And he was reasoning in the synagogue every Shabbat, and he was persuading both Yehudim and Hellenes. But when Sheila and Timoteo came down from Macedonia, Paulo was constrained by the word, testifying to the Yehudim, the anointed to be being Yeshua. And when they opposed themselves and blasphemed, he shook out his raiment and said to them, Your blood be upon your own heads. I am clean. From henceforth I will go to the nations. And he departed thence, and went into the house of a certain man named Tito, one that worshipped the God, whose house joined hard to the synagogue. And Crispus, the synagogue ruler, believed in the Lord with all his house, and many of the Corinthioi, hearing, believed, and were baptized. And the Lord said to Paulo in the night by a vision, Be not afraid, but speak, and thou shouldst not be silent. For I am with thee, and no man shall set on thee to badly treat thee, for I have much people in this city. And he dwelt there 1 year and 6 months, teaching the word of the God among them. But when Gallio was proconsul of Achaia, the Yehudim with one accord rose up against Paulo and brought him before the judgment seat, saying, This man persuadeth men to worship the God, contrary to the law. But when Paulo was about to open his mouth, Gallio said to the Yehudim, If indeed it were a matter of wrong, or of wicked villainy, O ye Yehudim, reason would that I should bear with you. But if they are questions about words and names and your own law, look to it yourselves. I am not minded to be a judge of these matters. And he drove them from the judgment seat. And they all laid hold on Sosthenes, the synagogue ruler, and beat him before the judgment seat. And Gallio cared for none of these things. And Paulo, having tarried after this yet many days, took his leave of the brothers, and sailed thence for Haram, and with him Priscilla and Aquila, having shorn his head in Cenchreae, for he had a vow. And they came to Ephesus, and he left them there, but he himself entered into the synagogue, and reasoned with the Yehudim. And when they asked him to abide a longer time, he consented not. But taking leave of them, and saying, I will return again, the God willing, he set sail from Ephesus. And when he had landed at Caesarea, he went up and saluted the assembly, and went down to Antiochia. And having spent some time there, he departed, and went through the Galatican region and Phrygia in order, establishing all the disciples. Now a certain Yehudi named Apollo, an Alexandreus by race, an eloquent man, came to Ephesus, and he was mighty in the scriptures. This man had been instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in spirit, he spoke and taught accurately the things concerning Yeshua, knowing only the baptism of Yohanan. And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, but when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they took him to them and expounded to him the way of the God more accurately. And when he was minded to pass over into Achaia, the brothers encouraged him, and wrote to the disciples to receive him. And when he was come, he helped them much that had believed through the grace. For he powerfully confuted the Yehudim, and that publicly, showing by the scriptures the anointed to be being Yeshua.